Hi, you're watching Half Asian Tarot Queen. I am Elisa, and it's right now the blood moon lunar eclipse is happening. So I figured I'd do a reading while the energy was potent. But yeah, every time there's a blood moon lunar eclipse, it's always like a big shift for me. But so I'm interested to see what happens with this one. I tried to go outside and look at it, but it was super cloudy, so couldn't see it, but I'm sure there will be pictures. Okay, I'm going to start with the Mystical Shaman Oracle and see what we get here. Oh my gosh. Yeah, like while I was shuffling, some interesting stuff came up too. But so we got Coyote and we got Fire. So there's a transformative, I mean, this is pretty blood moon looking. It's pretty bloody. It's not bloody, but it's fire. So it's a very transformative moment that's happening. And the Coyote is sort of about, it's about like trusting life's detours. Like things might not necessarily turn out how you think they're going to turn out, but they're going to turn out how they're meant to turn out. And so you might be here to learn a lesson, or actually I'm going to pull the cards down and see. Okay, so we have the Mystical Shaman underneath. So that's a card about sort of being in the flow, like everything you need coming to you as you need it, and being in this state of grace, like because you sort of like healed all of your wounds. And yeah, so it's like it's almost like you're gonna go on a ride, but things are it's gonna be like you're super graceful, like everything that you need is gonna come to you, and going through this portal from one stage of life to the next, which seems like it's so crazy. Really appropriate, because like I was saying with the blood moon eclipse, and then when I pulled this down too, it's like almost like the same message again. So like this is a kind of like being in alignment with God or higher being or the universe, you know, but all your chakras are sort of like in alignment, and you're being propelled forward in this sort of state of grace. You know, you're operating from this place of flow, you're manifesting because you have everything is in alignment with all that is. And the spiral is all about sort of like recurring cycles that happen in life, and you might not understand why these certain patterns keep recurring. And this is a card of sort of like going to the source of that, and maybe understanding that so that you can go through the doorway from one stage of life to the next. So it's like you might not, you know, with the Coyote, might not understand like, why does this keep happening? And what this is saying is like everything happened how it was supposed to. Like there was a reason for this, and you were meant to learn something from this experience, and that's why it happened, you know. But when I pull down the Fire, we got the Circle, Completion, the Journey, and the Earth Keeper. Oh my gosh, Magic and Pachamama. So this is really, I mean, there's this transformative moment, and it's like there's this community around you that's going to help you to sort of like move forward, you know, sort of close out this cycle. Like there's a community around that's going to help you. This has been like this very transformative journey. And it's almost like the Earth Keepers are like people who have sort of like this higher purpose to like heal the earth. And it's interesting because I've done readings before. I'll link one of them about how there's been this sort of theme throughout the year about the rise of the divine feminine and restoring feminine energy and restoring the earth. And like that's kind of what this moment of time is. And so the earth keepers are sort of the stewards of this, and these people are part of something that's higher than themselves, and for that they're blessed, you know. And then we have magic and we have Pachamama, which Pachamama is Gaia, the earth. So it's almost like there's this transformative moment, but there's this earth keeper who has this like community around them that's going to help them transcend whatever this moment is, you know. It's interesting because underneath that we have the curse. So it's like helping them to transcend whatever this trauma or wound is, help them to heal it and help them to move forward. You know, it's just like you don't understand like why this is all happening, but there is a higher purpose to it. And you could be healing like some ancestral drama that's like plagued your family for generations and you haven't really understood it or had any insight about it, but like that's kind of like why you were brought here, to like heal that. And so it's like you understand now like why these recurring cycles have happened in your life, and you're able to sort of change the destiny not only of you but the destiny of your ancestral line by sort of like changing the pattern. So wow, this is like really big what's coming through for this eclipse. I'm going to the Urban Tarot. I haven't used this deck in a while, but it's one of my favorite decks. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna do a different spread here than usual. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. Okay. So we have the Seven of Wands at the bottom. So this is a card of like valor. So this is almost like defending. One thing that just came to me was like Ukraine, you know, sort of embodying this energy. Like they're defending their land, you know, and they're making this like valorous attempt to defend their land, you know, because they're fighting for what they believe in. And that's kind of what I'm getting, you know. And so I've kind of got like two stories here, you know, because it's like there's two sides that are like fighting for this. And when I pulled this up, I got the Wheel of Fortune underneath. So there's like some big shift that's happening in this conflict that's happening with these two sides. So we have the kindergarten teacher, which is sort of like the Princess of Discs, the Empress, and we have the Knight of Cups, the seducer. So it's interesting because we got these two sort of nurturing energies. We got the Empress and the kindergarten teacher, which is like very this maternal energy. But there is like this path that's showing itself, you know, the beginning of a path, you know, this new path that's being born to this seducer. You know, this is this guy who's like picking up this girl in a bar, and you know, tonight it seems like everything's it's like this beautiful fantasy, but when you wake up the next morning it's like, oh, what did I do? It's kind of like that. So it's almost like this energy has been kind of like living this dream, like almost like not really based on a strong foundation in reality. And so we have that energy. And then we have the Prince of Wands, the journalist. We have the Ace of Discs. And we have the Nine of Cups, happiness. So it's like we have this sort of like, this is almost like this, like living this dream, living this fairy tale, but waking up to like a hangover, you know, for one path. And then we have the other path, which is like the light is being shown. This journalist is outing the situation like, hey, this isn't what you think it is. Like, it's something else, you know, this is the truth. And that's going to open up a new beginning for whoever has been living in alignment with reality on the ground, and not like in Disneyland or whatever. And that person is going to be restored. Their wishes are going to come true. So it's almost like this illusion, this bubble of illusion. There's a reading from a long time ago called "The Princess Bubble is Popped," which I'm going to link here. But that's kind of almost what it's boiling down to. It's like there's these opposing sides, and one of them is sort of in alignment with Gaia, you know, with the earth and with, you know, what's happening on the ground. And the other one is like a little bit like they're living in an illusion. So basically, I think what we're getting here is like the truth is coming out, and there was a reading, like a lot of readings earlier in the year about that, like these divergent paths based on being in alignment with the highest good and being in alignment with, I mean, this looks like sort of like a fantasy bubble. And it's almost like we've kind of reached this moment where like time is up and we just have to call a spade and move forward. So it's really interesting, especially because I had that Ukraine reference, like, what is this referring to? Actually, I'm going to leave these cards out because I'm going to go through it with one more deck here. So, since it is the blood moon eclipse, I mean, this is going to kind of starting to reveal like what's going to happen, like unfold after, because it seems like this time is up, the truth is out moment is happening for the eclipse, and the, you know, the bubble is popping, and we're going to have to move forward. And that's maybe whatever the trigger is for this transformative moment that's happening. So I'm going to the Queen of the Moon Oracle. Okay. So we have acceptance. So it's really interesting because it's like, yep, we have to accept reality for what it is so that we can move forward. And it's interesting because we have these two opposing hands, and there's this current running through them, you know. But we have patience, balance, and self-reflection. So what I'm getting from this is the conflict is over. Like the truth of whatever the conflict has been about has been revealed. So at this point, there's not really any point in arguing about it. It's also like election day today, so it's sort of like, that's pretty, I was watching this news thing and they had this analyst on and they were asking him about what he thought was going to happen for the election, and he said something, well, the hay's in the barn, and the guy's like, what does that mean, the hay's in the barn? Like, what does that mean? And he was like, you know, like the work's done, like the hay's in the barn, like there's nothing you can do, like you just basically have to like let things fall where they're gonna fall and accept it and move forward. And that's kind of what I'm getting. It's just sort of like there's no point in arguing anymore. Like it is what it is. So you should spend that energy on yourself is what I'm getting from these messages. It's like, have patience. Things are going to kind of sort themselves out. Things are going to come into balance. And this is a moment for yourself, for self-reflection, and for healing, and for adjusting your perspective and learning the lesson that you were supposed to learn from this situation. Like, you know, you might be annoyed that you're in this situation and it's not turning out how you thought or how you wanted, but there is a reason why it happened. And so really what you're supposed to do in this moment is, instead of like resisting it and fighting it, is figuring out what that lesson is, because that's ultimately what's going to be the thing that's going to release you to move forward. So I think that's a really powerful message for staying in the flow. Okay, wow. Okay, so here is the card that came out. I pulled out the Law of Attraction cards. The thoughts I think today are preparing me for my future. So it's all about, it's not their fault. It's not somebody else's fault. It's like, look in your own self, and you're the creator of your own destiny. So know that. Empower yourself, because that's where your energy needs to be focused now. And don't worry about everything else, because it's all gonna work out how it's supposed to. Every thought that you think is directed towards what you want for your future, and it's of great benefit to you. Every thought that you are thinking about your future that you do not want is a disadvantage to you. Whether thinking of vitality and health or decline in disease, you are preparing your future. So yeah, I think basically our thoughts are powerful. So like, there's this disruption that's happening from this truth emerging. So don't let your thoughts be hijacked by that. Like, stay focused on what you're trying to manifest in your life, and things will work out, you know. But the most efficient way that you can move forward is to just stay focused on that and just keep moving forward, because this is a really beautiful moment. And I think if you can kind of harness your own energies towards your own dreams, then they're there for you.